Welcome to From Center Ice. My name is Courtney, and Game 2 between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens has concluded. But before we jump into talking about this game, we do have an update on John Tavares. He spent Thursday night after the game in the hospital to be looked after by the hospital staff, and then he was able to go home on Friday morning, and he will stay there to recover from a concussion and also a banged up knee from the play. Kyle Dubas said with the knee injury he would miss 1 to 2 weeks, but then you have the concussion to heal from, and head injuries are very unpredictable. So we know that he is at least out for the rest of the Montreal series. Whether he comes back after that is still to be determined. But the good news is that it is just a concussion and the knee injury. And it's weird to say just a concussion because those are very bad, but watching the play, it could have been so much worse. But all the structural tests and scans on his neck and head came back clear, so it is quote unquote just a concussion and the knee injury. Along those lines, there were a lot of Habs fans in the comments on the last video wishing John Tavares well and hoping for the best for him and his family. That was wonderful to see. I didn't know how many Habs fans were going to show up in the comments. There were a lot of you, so hello, Montreal Canadiens fans. I'm happy to have you here. You were very kind. That could be because your team won that game. This one is going to be a little different, but I hope that you still have fun sticking around and talking hockey at least. It was nice talking to you in the comments, and it was nice talking to Leafs fans. I had a great time after that video went up. I hope that you all do as well. So the Leafs and the Habs put game number 1 behind them. They knew what the update on Tavares was, and they could just move forward into game number 2, which they played tonight, and the Leafs won Game 2, 5-1. Oh my goodness, what a game this was. It was an incredible bounce back game for the team from Toronto. There were a few lineup changes, of course. Alex Galchenyuk was in for John Tavares, and Pierre Engvall was in for Rielly Nash. Nobody can really replace Tavares on the ice, but Galchenyuk held his own, and Engvall looked very good. He was involved in all of the plays when he was out there on his shifts. So it went okay for the Leafs, and judging by the score, it went very well for the Maple Leafs. But to talk about this game, let's start with the 3 questions I had going into this one. Question number 1. Can Toronto get on the board first? Nope. Again, they did not. Montreal got on the board first. It was Jesperi Kotkaniemi this time. And what a weird goal it was. Jack Campbell made a few stops, but then he just kind of looked like a fish out of water. He was flopping around all over the place. Kotkaniemi followed up the shots, found the rebound, found the puck that Joel Armia had whiffed on, and he put it past Jack Campbell, and Justin Holl did not look very good on that play at all. It all originated from him having the puck in the defensive zone, losing a board battle, which in and of itself was not a good look on Holl. But then it led to the goal against, and he was not able to clear the puck out of the crease and help his goaltender out, so it was 1-0 Canadiens. And I don't know about you Leafs fans, but that one was just so frustrating to me, not only because Montreal got on the board first. Am I saying it right this time? I had a Habs fan, or maybe a Toronto fan. You didn't really say what you were. It said that I was saying that M city in Canada wrong, so I'm hoping I can get it right this time. I'm sorry, I am from the Midwest, I don't know all of these things. Anyway, the pace in the first period of this game was more suited toward the Maple Leafs game. The Habs didn't really come out with the same intensity than they had in game 1. They weren't hitting everything in sight. The game was a little more calm, and in that way I will say that it suited the Leafs because that physicality really got Toronto off of their game. So seeing the first period be a little more calm, like I said, not having that level of physicality that game number 1 had, it just looked like at any moment Toronto was going to get on the board first, get that first goal, and just take off from there. But that's not what happened. Montreal got on the board first, and the Maple Leafs were once again chasing the game. And Carey Price, to give him credit, which I got called out for not doing in the game number 1 as well, he made some big stops in that first period. He looked like he was very dialed in. Toronto had a few chances that probably could have gone in. Ilya Mikheyev had 2 tip chances in front, and Price was there to make the stop. I could have sworn that Ilya Mikheyev was going to get on the board tonight, just being in front of the net with his stick out there, ready for the puck to hit it. But it didn't go that way, and Toronto won anyway, so I'm not gonna complain. But Carey Price looked good. The bounces were not going Toronto's way at all. And even though the pace of the game was really favoring them, they were playing pretty sloppy there in that first period. They did have 9 shots on goal, but so did the Canadiens. Thankfully, 12 minutes and 25 seconds into that first period, Jason Spezza got on the board, the first goal of the game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And after what he went through in game number 1, you just had to feel great for the guy. It came out after the game that when Tavares was down on the ice, he was there talking to him, and while Tavares wasn't really recognizing anything else that was going on around him because he was very out of it, he was able to recognize Spezza's voice, so he was trying to keep him calm, just trying to keep him down so the medical staff could do their work, and oh my gosh, what more can you say about this guy? He wanted to be a Toronto Maple Leaf, he is a Toronto Maple Leaf, and he got the first goal of the game for the Leafs in game number 2. You just have to love that guy. Unless you're a Habs fan, then maybe you don't. But Maple Leafs fans, we all love Jason Spezza. It was fantastic to see him get on the board, not only just for his sake, but the Maple Leafs tied the game. It was 1-1, and that is how it went into the first intermission. Going back to Spezza's goal, it was probably one of the best offensive zone shifts in that first period, and maybe for the game as a whole, because the Leafs had really sustained pressure, and maybe they would have lost the puck, and maybe the Habs could have taken it the other way, but the puck got stuck in the skates of the official down behind the net, and that allowed Toronto to get the puck back, and they were able to send it out so that Spezza could get the puck. And if he didn't get the puck, Wayne Simmons was there. Spezza just kind of snuck his stick in there and said, "Hey, this is my goal," and shot it home. So I could see Montreal fans being very upset about that goal, but us over here in Leafs Nation, we are very happy about that goal, so I am sorry you won game number 1. We can have this. That leads us to period number 2, and from that point forward, Montreal fans, maybe you want to tune out because it was all Toronto in the second and the third period. 5 minutes and 15 seconds into the second period, Auston Matthews said, "Hello, I am in this series," and he put home the second goal of the game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it was just a great play all around. It originated with Matthews having the puck. He passed it to Marner. Marner got it over to Justin Holl, who was the bad guy on the Habs' first goal. Holl broke into the zone. He shot the puck off of Carey Price's pads. The puck didn't go in, but there was Auston Matthews there following up the shot. He got the second chance and put the rebound right past Carey Price. 2-1 Maple Leafs. And that is what I was talking about in the last game. They need to get those second chances. They need guys in front of the goal. And yeah, Matthews wasn't camped out in front of the net because there was no time for him to be camped out in front of the net. But that is how you score goals, especially in the playoffs. You need guys to go to the front of the net, to take away the goaltender's sight lines, to bang in those rebounds like Matthews did. Which does also lead us to question number 2. Can they get consistent net front presence? This is a yes and a no, kind of. In that first period that was very chaotic and very sloppy for Toronto, they didn't have guys in front of the net at all. It was very one and done. From then on out, it did get a bit better. Of course, Auston scored from right in front of the net, and after that, they did have some guys parked in front of Carey Price. Not as much, maybe, as I would like to see, but they won 5-1. You can't argue with the outcome of this game. But as the series goes along, Carey Price looked very dialed in that first period. He was very dialed in that first game. You are going to have to take away his vision. So Simmons is going to have to get in front of the net and just park himself there and wreak havoc on the goaltender. Or Nick Foligno, he's good at that too. But moving on in the scoring, the next one was super exciting because 13 minutes and 20 seconds into the second period, Rasmus Sandin got his first NHL playoff goal, his first NHL playoff point, and that put the Maple Leafs up 3-1. And yeah, that's exciting. First goal for the kid in the playoffs, but what's even more exciting is it was on the power play! The Toronto Maple Leafs finally scored a power play goal. That's not something that I ever envisioned myself having to say with the star power and the absolute goal scoring prowess this team has, but they finally scored on the power play after just not being able to do that at all. And it was a bomb of a shot from the blue line. And not only was it 1, Rasmus Sandin's first playoff goal, 2, a power play goal for the Maple Leafs, but 3, it gifted us with the worst goaltender interference challenge of all time? Oh, Mark Bergevin. I am so sorry, Habs fans, that he came from my hometown Chicago Blackhawks team. I'm just sorry. Because, wow, why did they challenge that? Yeah, Joe Thornton's stick may have tapped Carey Price, but in no way was that goaltender interference. He didn't keep Price from playing his position. And you know, as well as I know, we have seen a lot more contact than that go uncalled for goaltender interference. Nobody knows what goaltender interference is, so maybe on that point I don't blame them for challenging it, because nobody knows what goaltender interference is. But if I had to take a guess, goaltender interference is not that, and it wasn't. They called it a good goal just like it was on the ice, and that put Montreal back on the penalty kill. And that was kind of the story of this game. Once Toronto took hold of it, then Montreal just got into penalty trouble, and they kept putting the Maple Leafs on the power play, which before would have been a pretty good tactic, seeing as how they couldn't score on it at all. But in this game, maybe not the best tactic, especially because the Canadiens were behind. They can't be killing penalties. They can't just be camped out in their defensive zone. They need to have time to attack the other net. But they took 6 penalties in this game. That is 12 minutes if the Maple Leafs don't score, which they did on 2 of them. But anyway, that is a lot of time for them not being able to attack Jack Campbell, although in game number 1 they did score a shorthanded goal. Thankfully, in this one they did not. Sorry, Habs fans, we were friends in the comments on game 1. You might not like me as much in game number 2. I am very sorry. But not sorry, because my Maple Leafs won this game and I am very happy about it. You got to be happy in game number 1. I get to be happy in game number 2. See how this goes? It's a compromise. And while the score stayed 3-1 going into the second intermission, 8 minutes and 50 seconds into the third period, William friggin' Nylander got on the board. And not only did he get on the board, he got on the board on the power play. That's right, that second power play goal, it's just so sweet. Auston Matthews took the initial shot. It pinged off of the post and went right to Nylander, and he surveyed his options. He saw the shot was open. Carey Price was down on his stomach or trying to do something, and Willie said, you know what? I am going to shoot this puck. I am going to score for the second consecutive game. I am going to score this second consecutive power play goal. And that is what he did. Because in my opinion, in this series, number 88 has been the best player on the ice. Wait, which team am I talking about again? Not this one. And while Matthews may have been the star of the night with the goal and 2 assists, in my opinion, looking at the series as a whole, and yes, it's only 2 games so far, the star for the Toronto Maple Leafs has been William Nylander. That goal only made it 4-1. Clearly, that was not the end of the scoring, with the final score being 5-1. The Montreal Canadiens chose to empty their net, pull Carey Price, put him on the bench with 6 minutes to go in the game. That is an early goaltender pull, and it did not work out for the Canadiens, and it barely worked out for the Maple Leafs. They surely kept shooting at the empty net, but they also kept missing the empty net. Until 18 minutes and 37 seconds into the third period, when Alexander Kerfoot buried the empty net goal. That made the game 5-1. That sealed the deal for the Maple Leafs. Of course, whenever it's 4-1, we don't necessarily feel comfortable with that score. Anything can happen. Oh, thank God that didn't happen again. But 5-1, that feels great. And that is how the game ended. Jack Campbell got his first NHL playoff win. Rasmus Sandin ended the game with his first NHL goal. And it was happy feelings all around Leafs Nation. A lot of people saying they won this one for John. And yeah, while that might be true, they also just won this game. They rallied back after a loss in game 1. They rallied back after losing their captain. And they won this one with an exclamation point, because 5-1, that is a great game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you know what else is great for the Maple Leafs? My question number 3 was, can they stay out of the box? And they only took 1 penalty on the night. Yeah, maybe Habs fans are a little upset about that. But again, after that first period, it was all Toronto. And I'm not saying they didn't do anything that would be worth calling a penalty. I'm sure that they did. I don't have anything at the top of mind. I'm sure you do, Habs fans. But we all know NHL officiating sucks. And after those 3 delay of game penalties in game number 1, it was certainly good to see them only take 1 penalty on the night. So the series is tied. Montreal won game number 1, Toronto won game number 2, and now the series shifts to the Bell Center. They will play games number 3 and 4 in Montreal before coming back to Toronto for game number 5. And then if it goes beyond that, it'll go back to Montreal and then back to Toronto if it goes to game number 7, as we all know. So we have to hope that Toronto takes away confidence from this game. They won convincingly. They have to build off of the good habits, build off of the good defense that they played. And they have to take that into Monday night's game in Montreal. Here are my 3 questions for game number 3. Question 1, can the Maple Leafs win the first period? So in game number 1, we saw Montreal come out and they were, of course, hitting everything in sight. In this game, it was more subdued. But for game number 3, it is going to be their first game back at home in Montreal. You can only assume that they are going to come out with that fire that they had in game number 1. Now, when I say can Toronto win the first period, that doesn't necessarily mean can they come out of that period ahead. But if they are ahead or if it is tied, I will say that they won that period. Unless, of course, they get a huge lead and then, just give it away and that's how it ends up tied. That's why we talk about these things, right? It's not always black and white. But the Leafs have to weather the storm that is sure to come in period number 1, at least, and get out of that tied or ahead. Question 2, will the power play build off of the results in game number 2? That kind of speaks for itself. The power play has been hot garbage as of late, and in game number 2, they finally potted 2 goals. So is it a monkey off of the back situation? They can finally score on the power play again. They know that they can do it, so now they will keep doing that. That would certainly be beneficial for the Leafs team moving forward. Question 3, can they keep the Montreal attackers to the outside? Jack Campbell finally got his first playoff win. They need to help him out going forward as well. The only goal that Montreal scored tonight was basically in the blue paint. It was in the white, but I'm exaggerating. It was very close to the net. And after that, they did do a pretty good job of keeping Montreal just to the outside, so Jack Campbell had time to react to shots. He could see the shots coming toward him. He still played a very good game, but his team did help him out and helped make it an easier game for him than game number 1 was. I know it's a lot to ask to keep scoring goals and then to keep playing solid defensively, but this is the playoffs. That's what you gotta do. If they want to get out of round 1, finally, you have to play well offensively and you have to help your goaltenders out in the defensive zone. They can start that by keeping the shooters to the outside. So there's my recap of game number 2 and my questions for game number 3. Do you have any questions for this Toronto team going into game number 3 for the series as a whole? Put them down in the comments. I would love to hear them. Also, who do you think the star of this game was for either side? I'd definitely say there were more stars for Toronto than Montreal. They did not look very good after the first. If you would like to hear more from me or from Center Ice, you can head on over to FromCenterIce.com. You can find links to all of the places where you can find us over there. If you're more of a social media person, you can follow us on all of the platforms. Those are all linked in the description down below. All of that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. This has been an awesome series to watch so far, except for a few minutes in the first period of game number 1. And we're only 2 games in, so enjoy it while you can. Let's look forward to a great game number 3, and I will catch you all after that one. Bye, guys. Thank you all for watching. Please hit that subscribe button to catch more From Center Ice content. If you could, hit the like button on this video, maybe share it with a friend or 2. And while you're here, check out the podcast playlist and catch up on some old episodes. We will catch y'all next time. Bye!